Hello students, this is session 1 of chapter 1 titled The Nature and Scope of Indian English Literature. In this video, we are going to learn about the origin and the several definitions given by authors regarding this body of literature written by Indians. In his book, A History of Indian English Literature, M.K. Nayak states that Indian English literature began in the late 18th century as a result of encounter between a vigorous and enterprising Britain and a chaotic India. Britain during those times was trying to expand its territorial regime, whereas India was in chaos due to the onslaught of foreign culture. According to F. W. Bain, as a result of this encounter, India, which had been a withered trunk, suddenly shot out with foreign foliage. F. W. Bain considers the onslaught of Britain as a blessing for India because till then Indian literature was dried up, and with the encounter with Britain, there started fresh foliage in Indian literature. One form of this foliage was original writing in English by Indians. It is difficult to define the nature and scope of this body of literature due to lack of clarity. There has been several names given to this particular body of literature. They are Indo-Anglian literature, Indian writing in English, Indo-English literature, etc. When we give different names for one particular category, it creates confusion. Similarly, there has been no clear cut definition regarding these categories, and the body of translated literature also creates additional confusion. Before we go to the definitions of several authors, let us try to have some basic idea regarding these terms are considered. Anglo-Indian literature is a literature written by foreigners about India. British or Western authors, when they write about India, it is Anglo-Indian literature. Indo-Anglian literature is a literature written by Indians in English. So, with this understanding, let us look at the definitions given by various authors. E.F. Wooten considers the poetry of Henry Desrosiers as part of Anglo-Indian literature. However, in the Cambridge History of English Literature, he includes Toru Dutt, Sarojini Naidu, Rabindranath Tagore also among Anglo-Indian writers. Now, this results in confusion. Toru Dutt, Sarojini Naidu, Tagore are all Indian writers, and they should have been included in Indo-Anglian, whereas E.F. Wooten includes them under Anglo-Indian literature. Now this results in confusion. Similarly, Bhupan Singh includes both British and Indian writers on Indian subjects in his work Anglo-Indian Fiction. So this also is done in the same way as E.F. Wooten. So it creates confusion in our minds. When we look at the work of V.K. Gokak, his book is titled English in India, Its Present and Future. He gives two categories. One category is Anglo-Indian literature, and in this category he includes the work of Indian writers who write in English. Anglo-Indian literature, in this category V.K. Gokak includes Indian writers who write in English, and another category given by V.K. Gokak is Indo-English literature. Here he includes translations by Indians from Indian literature to English. So Indo-English literature includes all the translated work. Now we know about K.R. Srinivas Iyengar, who has done a massive survey on Indian writing in English. He makes a separate category called creative writing in English, and in this category he includes English translations of native Indian writers like Tagore's novels and plays. When they are translated into English, are included in this category called creative writing in English by K.R. Srinivas Iyengar. However, H.M. Williams does not include this category in his work Indo-Anglian Literature. When we come to Alfonso Carcala, John B. Alfonso Carcala, in his work Indo-English Literature in the 19th century, he uses the term Indo-English Literature to mean literature produced by Indians in English. So here it becomes somewhat clear to us that Indo-English literature is the work by Indians in English. Therefore, M.K. Nayak says Indian English literature may be defined as literature written originally in English by authors Indian by birth, ancestry, and nationality. So, according to M.K. Nayak, Indian English literature should be written by Indians who are by birth, ancestry, and nationality Indians. Neither Anglo Indian literature nor literal translations by others can legitimately form part of this literature. So, M.K. Nayak does not include Anglo Indian literature here, that is, literature written by foreigners, British or Western authors, does not come under this category. Similarly, when somebody translates word to word from other language to English, also is not included in this category. Anglo-Indian literature comprises a writing of British or Western authors concerning India. In this category, he includes Kipling, Foster, F.W. Bain, Sir Edwin Arnold, F.A. Steele, and others. They have written about India, but their works obviously belong to British literature. Translations from Indian language into English cannot form part of Indian English literature except when they are creative writings by authors themselves. Now, when Tagore translates Gitanjali into English, it is a creative translation, and he has done it himself. So, Gitanjali by Tagore can be included under Indian English literature, whereas Tagore's short stories and novels and plays, which are translated by others, are grouped under literal translation by M.K. Nayak, and they do not come under the category of Indian English literature. So he says the crux of the matter is the distinctive literary phenomenon that emerges when an Indian sensibility tries to express itself originally in a medium of expression which is not primarily Indian. There is, of course, a small class of Indian society who call themselves Anglo Indians or Eurasians, who claim English as their mother tongue. Notable exceptions are Henry Derosio, Aubrey Menon, and Ruskin Bond. They are all Anglo Indians, that is, their parents are English. The Indian strain in them is bound to condition the nature of both their artistic sensibility and their way of expression. So, when we talk about Indian English literature, it is written by Indians who are by birth, nationality, and by ancestry, they are Indians. Whereas sometimes we may have to include Anglo Indians like Henry Derosio also, because their sensibility is Indian. M.K. Naik further points out that literature, however, is not science, and hence there is not always possible to strictly compartmentalize. Hence, we have exceptions such as Ananda K. Kumaraswamy and Ruth Pravar Shabwala. And these are not Indians by birth, in a nationality, or ancestry. Ananda K. Kumaraswamy's father was a Sri Lankan Tamil and mother was English. He was neither an Indian citizen nor did he live in India, but the entire orientation of his thought is unmistakably Indian. So it is impossible to consider him as an Indian English writer, but still we have to, because his sensibility is Indian. Shabwala is an international phenomena. Her parents were Polish. She was born in Germany. She received English education. She married an Indian and lived in India for more than 20 years. She writes in English, and she shows a close familiarity and a deep understanding of Indian social life, that she finds a place in the history of Indian English literature. So, notable exceptions like these, Ananda Kumaraswamy and Ruth Pravar Shabwala, come under the category of Indian English literature due to the sensibility of Indianness they have in them. Whereas the case of V.S. Naipaul, whose Indian ancestry is indisputable, is an outsider when he writes about India, and he is an insider while dealing with Caribbean life and character. Therefore, V.S. Naipaul must be included in the history of West Indian writing. Indian English literature cannot have V.S. Naipaul in it, and Indian English literature cannot be part of English literature. It is part of Indian literature, and the differentia is the expression in it of an Indian ethos. Thank you.